And action. Welcome to another amazing episode of the Action Podcast. Today we are on episode 112, and we got a big one for you. We have the long anticipated, the MCU saver, Deadpool and Wolverine. And then we'll also be reviewing on Amazon Prime now, My Spy, Eternal City, which is the sequel to what, Pete?
My Spy?
My Spy, yes. So we will review both of those. So yeah, let's get right into it, Pete. Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh
What do
my
you got?
gosh. You're asking me first. Okay. Okay. One of the more highly anticipated films of the year by far. And this might be my favorite movie that I've seen in a lot of years. It's so good. It's but it's bizarre in a way. Like if you're not an MCU person, you're gonna watch this movie and go, "This movie's all over the place. I have no idea what's going on right now." Um, and me being an MCU person watches this, and I feel the same way, but I still kind of get it. You did tell me earlier about like some certain things, and now it makes sense. But man, every 2 seconds, the way they shot this movie, it feels improv. It feels like every second that they go from one scene to the next scene has been complete improvisation, and that there was no real script and that there's no real direct. It's really hard to put a pin on this movie, except for the fact that it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Action is fantastic. Having Wolverine back again is amazing. And I'm not even going to get into the cameos and the people that come into this movie. I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen this movie yet, but there
Well,
are some
we'll talk about that at the kind of at the very end of the segment. We'll do a spoiler segment.
there are
Um,
mind-blowing people that just kind of pop in and do their thing. This is a brilliant movie. One of my favorites.
yeah, I agree with you. I
Go
mean,
see it.
there are a lot of rumors going into it on what it is and all that good stuff. And it's always hard when a movie has such high expectations. But this movie, I think I agree with you, does deliver. And I would agree with you. I don't know how good this
But what
movie.
were the expectations in terms of story? Nobody really knew what the
I just
third
heard,
Deadpool was going to be about.
I mean, I just heard that one, there was going to be a lot of cameos in this one, and this is going to be the movie that's going to get the MCU back on track because
And Deadpool made sure to tell you throughout the movie.
yeah, exactly. And
He's so good.
and that's, and I think again, and I'm reading something else on it. Uh Ryan Reynolds, I think, really has a grasp on what he wants to do, and it really his just super creative power. I mean, I've seen interviews with people where he's basically texting and calling people and telling him he wants them in the movie. Not a lot of now he is a producer in this too, so I would probably put this under the producer hat.
Right.
But he is really in sync with Shawn Levy, the director, who's done multiple movies with, including Free Guy and The Adam Project, and so relationships I think play a large role in the success of this film. I give a lot of credit to Shawn Levy, who is really elevating up the list of my favorite comedic directors as well as just directors in general. I mean, he's really been delivering hit after hit now, and really again just has a good sense of what he wants to do, and I just love that.
And credit in a way to Disney for letting a movie like this under their sort of regime to come and to I mean this is what I felt about when Barbie came out. When Barbie came out and Mattel was cool with the idea of making themselves look like the enemy in a way, and they
Yeah.
were allowing themselves to be made fun of and poked at. I thought that that was a brilliant move on Mattel's part. I think that's the same scenario in this case. They're just they just let Deadpool go. It's like Deadpool's like its own entity, and they
Yeah.
allowed it to continue to
Well,
this
and Marvel
would have
too.
been a disaster.
In Marvel too, right? But again, this goes back to this is Ryan Reynolds, the producer, playing a large role in doing what he wants to do.
Yeah,
And again, that really is the driving force because, and I think you got to play hardball too. If I'm Ryan Reynolds, it's like, hey, look, I'm going to do this, but
I'm not doing Deadpool 3 if you're gonna do it like this.
yeah, like I'm not making just a regular sequel. This is what I want to do now. Obviously, do they have the power to rein in some of it? Sure, but
Sure.
again, at this point, you kind of know that he's going to go off the rails and that everything is open game, that it's in the public, and so I think that's again, I think it's
There was
smart.
nothing there was nothing so egregious in this movie, and
No,
but I'm really happy that it was able to be done the way it was done because it really could have been bad. Um, but the way they made this movie is just it's brilliant and
yeah,
it's funny and it pokes everybody. Everybody. There's nobody who's off limits. Like they go after everybody.
yeah, and all right. So now let's ultimately, folks, go see this. It if you're into the Deadpool movies, now again, Deadpool's rated R. He's crude. So obviously make sure you're into that. I don't think he's going to be for you if you're looking for a
You're not going
solid.
to go see Deadpool 3 if you haven't seen the first two.
Yeah, but again, just wanted
You
to
know
make.
what you're getting.
But I will say just off the bat, I think this one does somehow top. I think each one keeps getting better in a way, and because they keep pushing the envelope, and so. But
I
this one is
agree.
my favorite as well, and this is probably definitely my favorite movie of the year.
I'm
Again,
good.
we'll do our list shortly. Fans of our best films of 2024 because it's come up a couple times now, but this is probably my number one for sure. So let's get it. We're gonna get into spoiler alert section. We'll talk about stuff now. If you don't want to hear about it, move forward probably
Turn
about
off.
10
Yeah.
minutes and we'll go from here. So spoiler, spoiler, spoiler.
Spoiler alert!
So Pete, let's get into it. Let's just do what was your favorite cameo in this film or surprise aspect of this film?
Well, I wasn't shocked to see Chris Evans. I had a feeling he was going to be in the movie regardless. My favorite one happened to be Blade, and it wasn't. I didn't think that if I saw Blade again that I would be as excited, but just because of what he said and Deadpool's reaction to the fourth wall, after he said it, it makes me feel like I'm gonna see Wesley Snipes in a Blade movie real soon, and it's gonna be awesome because he's got backing from Ryan Reynolds. Because I feel like Ryan Reynolds will like somehow have a hand in it. His cameo was fantastic. I thought it was interesting to see who's the dude that plays Superman?
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill. Very interesting to see him in a brief moment and for the reference that Deadpool makes to him, like, oh, thank God you're no longer a part of that universe. Now you're going to be a part of this universe. That's interesting as well. So now you've got Henry Cavill, you got Blade, you've got Channing Tatum
Yeah.
as Gambit, who you've never seen before. And then you also have
Well, and so let me tell the audience because you're kind of skipping a little bit.
no, I'm
Uh,
jumping about.
so let me just kind of go over the main.
It's just so much.
Let me go over the main cameos, and then I'll give a little backstory just because I feel like I've read a little bit more in depth of these. So,
Sure.
obviously, Hugh Jackman is Wolverine. He's not really a cameo. He's the main thing, but that kind of sets a course for them to go back kind of through different timelines, and they go through and they look for different Wolverines because Deadpool basically needs to save the MCU, quote unquote. Ultimately, it ties into the TVA sacred timeline. If you've seen Loki or some of these other MCU movies regarding the timeline, quote unquote, that's ultimately where Deadpool comes in. He needs to protect the sacred timeline. So he goes on a hunt to basically look for a Wolverine that can help him, and that's when he sees Henry Cavill's Wolverine. We also see a very short Wolverine, which apparently that is supposed to be the anatomically correct Wolverine from the comics. In the comics, Wolverine apparently is 4'10", and so
For
that's what,
reals?
yeah, that's what that was. That was supposed to be what he's really supposed to look like if it was like it is in the comics. So,
Oh,
uh,
that's funny.
yeah. Um, and then we also see trying to think what other.
Elektra?
No, but I'm just talking about the Wolverines. We see.
Oh, well, we see one where he's like a James Bond,
Oh
and
yeah,
then
we
we
see like a debonair, yeah, debonair Wolverine.
but then
Uh,
we see like a really big giant one who's like super buff,
yeah,
and the hair is like super crazy. I just watched it for the second time.
yeah.
So,
There's no
yeah,
other real, but yeah, Henry Cavill's the only one that's not Hugh Jackman though.
yeah,
Uh,
he's the only one that's not Hugh Jackman.
and then they basically somehow get into the void, um, where they find Cassandra. Basically, it's the sister of Professor X, and in the void we find Elektra, who's played by Jennifer Gardner. She was in the original movie, made I believe that's also made by Fox. Um, and obviously Disney bought out Fox Studios, so there's a lot of 20th Century Fox. This film is supposed to be the ode to the ending of the 20th Century Fox properties, and now we're moving into obviously the Marvel era with X-Men, all that good stuff. So it's basically saying goodbye to X-Men, Fantastic Four, all these other Marvel characters that were not done
So many
by.
things are going to launch from this film.
Yeah. We see Blade, who obviously is played by Wesley Snipes, and of course, Mahershala Ali is supposed to be playing the new iteration. I believe they make a joke about that as well.
Mm.
But and then we also get Channing Tatum, who's playing Gambit. Now, again, it's not just a random Channing Tatum playing Gambit. This was a greenlit movie, and at San Diego Comic-Con in 2016, I believe, it was announced that Channing Tatum was going to play Gambit, and the movie basically got stuck in development hell, never actually got published, or it never got greenlit and produced. And so Channing Tatum ultimately never played Gambit. Very similar to Nicolas Cage as
And
Superman.
a
And
Superman, yeah,
so and
yeah.
so this movie did the same thing, kind of like The Flash did, which is give an homage to this hypothetical Gambit character. But the best thing that they did with this one is they gave him the basically the animated series outfit as opposed to kind of updating it to modern kind of
Yeah.
style. They gave him the 100% comic book style, and it looks ridiculous, which is kind of the
And
point.
I know, but his whenever he spoke and his interactions with Deadpool are amazing. Like
Yeah.
they're so funny.
Yeah, and it's really kind of 21 Jump Street Channing Tatum,
Yeah,
where
but
he's
with a huge like Creole accent.
yeah, and it's again kind of purposely kind of a little bit like a little bit overdone, and Ryan Reynolds definitely lets him knows about it. It's again great interaction between those two. By the way, Gambit's my favorite character of of the X-Men.
You've loved Gambit since we were kids.
Yeah, it's really because the animated series and even in like the video games, all
Yeah,
that.
he was so
Uh,
badass in those animated series.
yeah, and he wasn't. I love Taylor Kitsch, but just in general, he wasn't done properly. In he was in the Wolverine Origins movie,
Yeah.
where Ryan Reynolds actually that's where he got introduced as Deadpool, uh, and so it was great to kind of see Gambit at some of his full power and kind of what he's capable of because he really is basically he can charge things. He uses cards because he's a gambler, but he has a stick that he can charge, but he basically has an explosive charging power that he can use to basically weaponize things, and so his famous things is throwing cards in their explosives. And
Right.
so I kind of seen that in full action, and him doing, some really cool moves with it. Like, yeah, that to me was
That
really
was cool, right?
really
Like
a lot.
that was great.
And then go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh, and then other cameos there was we got to see Sabretooth, the
Briefly.
original Sabretooth from the Fox X-Men that came out in 2000.
He was brief. You saw Pyro.
We saw Pyro, Toad, um uh what's his name? But Belismo, but
Uh,
he's like he's
uh,
he's red. He's red.
he's
Uh
red.
and he's kind of like Nightcrawler but red. He was in X-Men Origins as well. He was in X-Men First Class.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't
But
remember his name, but I remember
it's like
seeing.
it's like Babispo or
Yeah, I mean, there's several of those characters that
Beelzebub. Beelzebub.
I was just gonna say Beelzebub.
Yeah, Beelzebub. He was in it. I heard Psylocke was in it too. You kind of see her, but it's not. I don't think it's Olivia Munn. Who else?
You know what was really great about, I mean, if you take a step back and look at the star power that was in this film and the amount of time that people were in it versus not in it, like, I mean, it was really all over the place. The fact that they were able to pull off this film is incredible. I mean, Jon Favreau comes in for one scene and crushes. It's one of the funnier scenes I think that I've seen in the movie at all. And then the dude that plays Mr. Paradox, he's the dude from Billions, the series Billions. His name is Matthew McFadden. He's incredible as Mr. Paradox. They have each character in this film comes in and does their job. Like this is one of those ensemble movies that we've talked about in the past where every person comes in and just does a minor role, even if it's minor or major, and just comes in and does their job and just crushes. Like Channing Tatum annihilated this role. Wesley Snipes annihilated his role. Like every person, even Vanessa, the girl who plays Vanessa, who, by the way, is probably one of the more gorgeous people I've ever seen in my life. She has like two five lines in this whole movie, but because of her importance in the Deadpool world,
Yeah,
um, it just there's an impact there.
yeah,
This movie really does a great job at taking each person's individual purpose and having an impact in the overall story, which again, for me as an MCU novice, I'm watching it for the second time right now, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around what I just watched, even though it's my favorite movie of the year so far.
yeah. And like
Crazy.
the biggest cameo, like P had already mentioned, it's Chris Evans. But when Chris Evans comes in, you're led to believe that he's Captain America, and you're like, oh,
America.
Captain America's back, and that's where the audience really kind of
Because they showed you Captain America earlier.
right. But they show him as Captain America early in like a video montage type thing.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so you see him and you're like, oh my goodness, Captain America. But then he quickly find out that he is the Human Torch, who Chris Evans played in the original Fantastic Four, also in the 2000s. And so that was just a great 2005 it was. And so that was just a great kind of spin move there by the director
You
or by
laugh? Did you laugh when Chris Evans shoots up and he's doing the torch thing, and then like Deadpool's like he's just like
yeah.
looking around like
Oh yeah.
what's going on right now? It's
The whole movie he's hilarious.
perfect. It's
Uh and
so
then
good.
and then Daphne Keene is X-23. She was the one in Logan. She was also supposed to have a spin-off, but
Yeah,
she played a large role in this one as well. And then lastly, all the Deadpools. Now you probably would only know this if you either A read the cameo the credits, but they're probably not in the credits.
I didn't know.
But I did a little reading. and I knew this ahead of time, but Blake Lively, who is married to Ryan Reynolds, plays Lady Pool.
Gorgeous.
Matthew McConaughey plays the a cowboy Deadpool. Nathan Fillion plays Headpool. Um, and then Ryan Reynolds is Nice Pool, so he plays
How
multiple.
funny was Nice Pool when he dies finally?
Yeah,
God, that was so funny. I was laughing through the whole movie.
yeah,
Like every 2 seconds, there was something hilarious happening. This is like one of the best
yeah,
movies ever. It doesn't make sense that this is one of the best movies ever, and yet it is.
yeah. Um,
It's so
but yeah,
funny.
that's pretty much most of the major ones. Oh, it's Azazel, not Beelzebub. I was close.
I was gonna correct you, but I didn't want to make you feel stupid.
Oh, Lady Deathstrike's in this too. That's right. Psylocke, yeah. Yeah.
And Peter, let's give some shout outs to Peter. Like Peter gets some mad love in this movie.
What do you mean?
Peter, the Deadpool one of
Oh,
the
the driver?
yeah, the one of the one-off Deadpool guys that he tries to recruit in the
Right,
original
right, right, right.
movie.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
meanwhile, Peter's like the biggest star in like the multi-universe, and
Yeah,
he's the
yeah,
one that
yeah.
like, kind of saves everything.
Yeah, yeah,
Peter, let's go.
yeah. But yeah, so you can see obviously this is action pack.
So
Um,
good.
if you want to kind of either read afterwards or read before, there's a lot of articles that tell about the cameos, stuff like that. So uh check it out, but definitely see this, probably see it multiple times. I know I will. I haven't seen the second time yet, but I do plan on seeing it again later this week. So
It's even better when you watch it for the second time.
yeah, for sure. All right, next we're gonna get into My Spy Eternal City. This of course stars Dave Bautista and Chloe Coleman,
Right?
and Kristin Schaal. Ken Jeong is
And
also in.
Jeoung, Anna Faris,
This is directed by Peter
Craig
Siegel.
Robinson.
Yeah, Craig Robinson. Yeah, this is directed by Peter Siegel, who also directed 51st Dates. He did uh what was that movie I just talked
Naked
about?
Gun 33 and a third.
Naked Gun through the third. The
Yeah.
original.
Which is like the
No,
best.
what was the one that I worked on? Oh, Grudge Match. Yeah, Grudge Match. Uh,
Grudge Match.
which I got to work on a little bit. Got to meet several people involved in that one. And
Longest Yard.
I even got to go to Peter Siegel's office and meet him when he was there at Warner Brothers.
And the best movie ever, Tommy Boy.
Oh, that's right.
I mean, come on.
Yeah,
Tommy Boy's like the best.
yeah. So he's a great comedic director, and yeah,
We're in it to win it.
yeah. So Pete, go ahead and start on this one.
This is really interesting, the My Spy world, because when you told me this movie was coming out as a sequel, I was like, oh my God, I forgot there was an original. I'd never seen it. I watched the original, absolutely adored the original. Um, because it was like at that time period where Bautista was like, I'm not doing Marvel stuff anymore. I want to be considered something serious in a way. And I thought that he and this kid, who's it? Chloe Coleman? Yeah,
Hmm.
Chloe Coleman. They are so dynamic together and they have such a chemistry together. And then you add a little Kristin Schaal in the mix. Um, it was really, really well done movie, My Spy, the first one. Now there's a second one, and I got to be honest, like it didn't get a high rating on IMDb, and I disagree. This is a really well done family movie. It's action, it's comedy, it's there's heartfelt moments in these movies. Um, I enjoyed every second of this second movie, and and I thought that Anna Faris as the villain, I guess, she's fine. You don't even notice her really because of how powerful Dave Bautista and Chloe are. And then you pepper in a little Craig Robinson, which
Mhm.
is always good. You give me some Craig Robinson any time of the day, I'm happy about that. Um, this is a really well done movie. This deserves more than a 5 fucking 6 on IMDb because I would watch this with my family every weekend if I had the opportunity. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's just
yeah,
really well done. And Dave Bautista is phenomenal.
yeah, absolutely. Very funny in this one. And I saw the original one. You can check my original review out, which I did.
But I
For
forgot about,
actually, yeah, it's like one of our. I think we did it the first year.
which I
And,
don't remember.
yeah, and I really enjoyed it. And so again, Peter Siegel is a director I really enjoy, and I think he does quality work. And so that was a big, Dave Bautista, of course, but having a director that you know and trust, I think is important as well. And Peter Siegel, for me, is that kind of guy. And
Ken
so,
Jeong is so funny.
yeah, yeah,
I didn't even mention him.
yeah, yeah. And so again, I knew this movie was going to be solid, and it is. I love destination movies as well, and this one you get to go into Italy and the Vatican, the whole nine. And so I enjoyed the journey. I think it's really good. I need to finish it, to be honest with you. I fell asleep during it, but it's really good. It's really good so far, and it's just a
It's on
fun
Amazon Prime. So, I
Amazon
mean,
Prime. It's a fun streaming
wait,
movie, and it's a quality movie, and with good laughs, good times. So I also say definitely check it out.
and Bautista is this gentle giant. Like as much as he can destroy you, like he has such a heart of gold. At least that's his character, and the way he portrays it, I would allow him to hang out with my kid and to take them on adventures because he's that amazing of a person on screen.
Yeah.
He's gonna be somebody. Let
Here
me
he already
mark
is.
mark my words, Paul.
Yeah.
Dave Bautista is gonna he's gonna be something someday.
Yeah. There you go. Way to prognosticate. All
Yeah.
right, well, that's going to wrap it up for us today, guys. Thanks for joining. Next week, we have a few movies on tap. We have Trap, which is by M. Night Shyamalan, and that is,
Yeah.
yeah, that's directed by, or that's stars Josh Hartnett, who's officially made a solid comeback. He's been great in the last couple of things he's been in.
Yeah, he's doing well.
And also, we have Harold and the Purple Crayon, which stars Zachary Levi.
Hmm?
There's a movie called The Firing Squad with Cuba Gooding Jr. And then lastly, we have Kneecap, which stars Michael Fassbender. So,
That's interesting, that movie.
yeah. So we got a few movies on tap. And, yeah. Oh, and yeah. And make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And with that, Pete, that is a cut. Thanks, guys.